All right, we're back. Soccer Dad Pod. Been out on the road.
School's
out, baby.
But there's a theme.
A little bit of a theme today. You already read your dashboard. You know we're going to be talking about school. Hence a little Alice Cooper. School's out in honor of the summertime. But really, we're going to be talking about school being in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an oxymoron today.
Yeah.
It's a great way to start. Start off with an oxymoron. How about that, Soccer Dad Pod? We are back. The season for us, Jared, it's over. Finally.
Yeah.
Like
a little bittersweet, but it is over, and it's we're on to school's out and the future.
So, you know the deal. At the end of most shows, we grade ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Grade the soccer year for the Bertrand House. Drew's year, your year as the Jerry Maguire of Drew Bertrand.
Yeah, show me the money.
Show me the money. I wasn't thinking about it that way, but well played. How'd the year go for the Bertrand household? With the game of footy.
Limping into the year, there was a little adversity for the young lad coming into it, but total blessing in disguise. I would grade it a solid B+, A-. He learned a lot. He got to bang with some big bodies for the good portion of the year, and then he was fortunate enough to come down and play with Mike Sorber. And if anybody's ever been around him or played for him, the gentleman just gets it at a different clip. It's kind of funny. A friend of ours said at this last event, he was outside the bathroom, and Mike's former employer, Toronto, there were some guys out there and said, Mike Sorber, he's the best youth coach here.
Oh, yeah.
So, grading his year, he did well. Team did well. Nothing to complain about in our camp.
Yeah, it's funny. Literally this morning, I didn't know you were going to go the Sorber route, but I've got a Sorber story for you from this morning because, given the prowess of our current national team, and I do mean that a little facetiously, there's all these Twitter highlights from days gone by. Well, it was the Donovan goal against Algeria.
Okay.
And what it was, a split screen where one of the cameras was focusing on Bob Bradley. And then the other camera's on Donovan running down the field, and the whole time Bradley's moving. Who's right there?
Mr. Sorbs.
Yeah, and I told Beckett, hey, check this out. He's not just that guy that makes fun of you for making shit passes. He was also on this sideline. So, anyway, there you go. There's another Mike Sorber story for you. Soccer Dad Pod, we really appreciate all the support of the show. You guys continue to hit play. Amazing to me. We're almost 3 years into this. Come October, it will be 3 years. Can you believe that? That's another one of those things like, your kids are growing up, they're going to get married, they're going to do all this shit, and we're on 3 years of nonsense.
What's the saying? Time flies when you're miserable?
Yeah, right. Your wives really don't like you, if you keep doing this. I want to throw a quick thank you out to Flywheel Systems. I've told you before, it's really simple. If you have space, if you have a building, and anybody's on their cell phones, and you want to improve the Wi-Fi, it's a customer service play is what it is. It keeps people from clogging your shit up. Just be straight with you. And by the way, if you do this, you get paid.
Yeah.
Flywheel.systems. Go check it out. Not only am I a promoter, I am a user. It's on my buildings. And if you see me at Soccer Park, buy me a beer. I'll show you my crypto wallet. It's real. Getting paid to do nothing. So there you go. Flywheel.systems. Check it out. Points of the day. Lot of news. Throw one out here.
Yeah,
Jared.
I'll go Flywheel point one of the day, and I'll go right back to our national team. And, a lot of people think the sky is falling, and there is definitely some angst out there with results and how they're doing. And at the time of this airing, we have just got out of the group stage of the Gold Cup. And guess what, folks? We win it. We play TNB, or TNT, Trinidad and Tobago. We play Saudi, and we play Haiti. And there's a lot to unpack there because we weren't dominant, I don't think.
Yeah, combined population of Wyoming.
I get it, but you can only play who you're scheduled against, and they did take care of business, and we're on to the knockout round. So we'll see what happens there. My point of the day is everybody settle down. The World Cup is a year away. I'm not happy. I don't think we're going to win, and I don't think we're going to be dynamite. But we are in the knockout round of the Gold Cup, and let's see what happens. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm intrigued by the whole patriotic battle between the pundits and Pulisic in particular. Alexi Lawless, right? Just call spade a spade. Dude is flat out belittling Pulisic's decisions. That's what I'm drawn to on this thing because it's like there's so many moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea. Look, is he injured? Is he tired? Who's not at this part of the year, right?
Yeah.
Just show up, sit on the bench even.
A bright spot for me, the Tillman kid. I mean, he's looked very good in the group stage. He's looked dynamic. He's played 2 CONCACAF guys and then whoever we invited into the tournament from the Middle East. But, so I don't think he's playing World Cup class, but he looks good.
Yeah, no, I think that's an upside out of all this. I guess my original point is this. Like, it's another unforced error. Like, for example, MLS, whenever they had the fallout with U.S. Open Cup, right? Mm-hmm. Here's a simple solution. Don't make a big press release about saying we're above this, we're not going to do it anymore. How about you just enter it and play all your B team, right?
Yeah.
There you go, problem solved. Now nobody's going to hate on you for doing it. And I think Pulisic and these guys that are skipping out on the camps, same thing. It's an unforced error.
It's a PR nightmare.
Yeah, just show up. Wear the kit, wear the warm up. You know what? And when you sit down, put a bag of ice on your thigh. So everybody's like, oh, my God, he's got a knock. There you go. It just amazes me.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what? I have a – I'm going to go to women's basketball of all things.
Huh.
Who's the blonde girl on the Fire?
Sophia Cunningham, I believe.
Yeah.
She's a Mizzou gal.
Yes, that's right. She's now the unofficial enforcer for Caitlin based on one play.
And I heard she has long legs.
Yeah, apparently. she can grapple too. I saw that. What I'm intrigued by is her Instagram account. Ever since that technical and that $400 fine, I think she's up 500,000 followers like in 48 hours. Just because
Caitlin Clark moves the needle. We've talked about it many times on this show.
Dave Portnoy, we've talked about him a lot too. Like, he flat out thinks she's the most valuable individual in all of global sport right now because of what she's doing to the awareness of the game and the potential.
Has he seen Ronaldo's Instagram account?
I totally agree. I think that, look, Portnoy is not exactly watching EPL on Saturday mornings.
Okay.
Right? But I don't think he's far off when you think about, and we've talked about this in the past too, the Tiger effect of golf, right? She's doing the same thing with not only women in basketball, but a whole bunch of suburban dads that have never given a shit are now like, that's intriguing. And I think there's a flywheel there. Ooh, I threw flywheel in there.
Yeah,
I didn't actually mean to do that. But anyway, I'm just like, that whole thing, I keep watching it. I'm not going to watch a game. I don't like basketball to begin with. It's just not my thing. But I like
You're aware of it because of all the things that you're explaining.
Yeah, because I think it's the human story and the things that are happening kind of parallel to the game itself, I think is really intriguing.
I got one, then we'll close it out and we'll get to our show. Flywheel point 3 of the day.
That's really 2 points.
I would like to get your impression on, we're big MLS Next guys, and we have kiddos, and everybody knows it, and we're big recruiting guys, and all the things that we kind of lay out this show with our guest list. Your overall thoughts of the MLS Next Cup that was just played in Murfreesboro. If you get on social media, if you talk to some of these same coaches that we've had on our show, the grades for it overall were not great as far as
very low.
My thoughts are most of that is reflective of the weather. that no one can control. And so the Murfreesboro area, the park, which is a very nice park, by the way, all of that scenario really, they take one on the chin because of the weather they can't control. And so, like, the game's played. They moved things around. There were some cancellations. Just, like, I don't know where to fix it at. Everybody's like, just take it to San Diego or take it to the Northwest. Well, how big and how many teams of the 300-plus teams from a certain age group, how many of them are on the Eastern Seaboard, and how are you going to do it in the Pacific Northwest with just finances alone?
Yeah, I think there's a multitude of first world problems with it, with the MLS tournament as it was this year. Number one, it's not Nashville. It's Murfreesboro, right? You're well out. 1, 2. Their grass fields, while nice when the weather's perfect, any amount of rain and they're screwed.
Yes,
and they were screwed.
Agreed.
Number 3, you moved from Dallas because you were worried about the heat. Well, guess what? Instead of 107 heat index, it's 102. What'd you gain, right? That's
touche.
It's not there. You do have the new Minneapolis complex that's going to be done by fall. That's 42 fields, well north of the humidity row or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
My bigger issue that I have with the event, outside of the true tournament teams, the showcase aspect of it, which still has top-class teams up and down.
It has 75% of the tournament, or the 75% of the event participation.
There's just no vibe. Like, you walk around the field, unless it is a true tournament matchup, the vibe is dead at this event.
Well, I think it's an indictment of youth sports, or let's just call it youth soccer, because I think that much like this MLS2 is going to bring, there's just not enough juice in friendlies.
No.
They need to play for something at the youth level.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you see it in Flex, or where you see it in these playoffs. When we can get back to as a youth environment, which will in turn help our national team environment, let's produce winners.
Well, here's a simple solution. Break the country into maybe 4 districts, right? And if you do not qualify for the tournament, have 4 regional showcases that are squashed up a little bit, get the teams the play, stagger it out, and let the regional schools, if they want to travel. And I get the universities are the ones that are like, well, we can't afford to send our staff to 5 different national events within the span of 30 days. But you know what? What is happening isn't working. That's my 2 cents.
I agree.
So now that we solved all those world problems, let's go ahead and let's take a quick break, get a little quote water break here at the Mecca that is Soccer Park. Thank you, John Anderson, by the way. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking school and soccer and not quite live-in. Not yet. I'm sure that's probably – we're going to ask that. And all things new coming down the pipe. Born and bred out of the hockey world that is doing pretty well here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. When we come back, get your notebooks out and your pens and take notes. The next gen of school and soccer coming at you. See you on the flip side. All right, we're back. A little slow roll.
I kind of just wait. I could probably get to the point, since we're 280 episodes into this thing, I might be able to start guessing the music. That should be the new game.
It's an open invite every episode. And like I said a couple of episodes back, whenever you came in with the request, you request more often.
I will.
I know the guest in the second half of the show, sitting over our shoulder. He's got tunes. I'll put him to the test. It'll be KC Classic.
Okay,
in the second
I can do that. I can do that with my friend.
We're back. Little Pink Floyd rolling us in here. We don't need no education is not the mantra of today. We do need education, right?
We do.
Joining us to talk about the new endeavor here, combination between TPH. We have members of TPH, the St. Louis Soccer Academy, Joining Christy Stitchling.
Yes.
Philip. McCrae, thank you. Sorry, man.
No problem.
And Mitch. Everybody knows Mitch.
Everyone knows me.
Everyone knows, especially in team selection time. Everybody knows Mitch.
Yep.
Are you just done with that, or are you still in the thick of it?
Almost done.
Still
in the thick of it, though.
Are you?
It never ends.
Okay.
Well, always evaluating Jared,
We are, now I'm not kidding.
Subjectively.
We are going to take all those really mean text messages, and we're going to do one of those, what was that? Read mean tweets, celebrity mean tweets.
Yeah. Was that like the Jimmy Fallon bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be doing that. Okay. He doesn't want to do it, but I'll do it. Just send them all to me. I'll read them all, and then I'll let all the parents guess which of their peers and what team it came from.
Mitch,
and if you get it right,
you don't know blank. You messed this up.
Have you not seen my child? Do you want that answer? All right, TPH, the St. Louis Soccer Academy. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for sitting around and tolerating our mindless nonsense. Christy,
yes.
You were the one that Patch kind of hit me up, gave me a little bit of insight of what was coming down the pipe, turned the ball over, pass the baton to you. Yeah, no pun. So just give us that quick elevator pitch. TPH, the Soccer Academy. Give us kind of the basic ideas, and then let's get into a little bit of the background, origins, and what it's going to look like.
Yeah, so it's the official name, TPH St. Louis Soccer Academy. We're super excited. It's going to be starting the fall of the 26-27 school year. So I know a lot of people here at Scott Gallagher are getting it confused with our soccer school program. No, this is actually an academy. You come here to get education first, and soccer is second. That's kind of how we are presenting it. And we're lucky enough to have the right people in place. Ken Godet, Mitch Hunt, Johnny Johnson, Phil McCrae. So we're really excited.
So to put it simply, this is not a summer camp that's going to extend throughout the year. This is actually an accredited school.
Yes, it's a non-boarding school, because I know that's something that you said off air. It is a non-boarding school. You do not sleep here. You do not stay here. But you will come 8 to 3 every day, and you will get your education, and you'll get trained by the best soccer trainers around.
So accredited. So that's all baked into it. Philip, let's jump to you, because you come from the hockey world. It's in the DNA, right? Give us a quick bio resume, yourself, your relationship to TPH. And maybe
what is that?
Yeah, brief description from the hockey side, please.
Yeah, so I grew up in St. Louis, come from a hockey family. Father played Basil McCrae for the Blues and grew up here, and I went on to kind of have a career of my own, playing for the U.S. national team and drafted to the Blues myself and played 10 years pro. And then when I retired from playing, I came home to St. Louis specifically to start TPH St. Louis Hockey Academy, which was in 2021. So we just wrapped up our 5th school year. For me, it was exactly what I wanted to get into post playing. And I'm a huge believer in the entire model itself, from a lot of my own experiences growing up. And kind of over those 5 years, we started with about 25 students. We've grown to 35, 45, 60. Next year we have 80 student athletes full time. So kind of growing every year full. And kind of what has happened over the couple of years is a lot of people have asked, can we do this with other sports? It makes a lot of sense. And kind of that's kind of how the conversation started. And then Christy really connected TPH and Soccer Park, the facility, and the staff, and it's all kind of come together. So we're really, really excited to get it going here.
So let me ask you the inspiration of TPH for you to come back and do it here. Had you seen it in other markets, and kind of what was the, maybe the North Star, or the example, or the market in which you are kind of replicating this out of?
Yeah, so TPH nationwide, they have a number of academies around the country. Started with hockey, and now a lot of other sports coming. And the whole idea behind it is the traditional school is not necessarily the right fit for everyone. And for kids who have a very strong love and passion for a particular sport, and they have goals within that sport, to tie it together with the educational piece, to really learn a lot of the life skills and character traits through sports, tying it with school, kind of getting everything a student athlete needs between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. It's really been a really good fit for a lot of the student athletes on the hockey side. And like Christy mentioned before, it's definitely not just the soccer. So you look at the day from 8 to 3, there's 1 hour of the day they're on the field. There's a lot of other time in the day where they are doing all their coursework, all their studies. Obviously, they'll be in the gym with Johnny. There's a lot that goes into it. It's like any other school when it comes to a lot of the extracurriculars, field trips, graduation, community service, cooking class, a lot of things that go into making it a holistic
Life
development model.
So I guess my first question, and just to try it, and I have two, it's kind of a two-part, but the first part of it is you mentioned 5 years hockey. You've been here for 5 years, and you start at 20, and you're at 80 this fall. I think that's pretty rapid growth. What age groups, and with hockey, is it just boys that are in it? So what age group of the 80, what does that comprise of?
So, and this will be similar at the soccer academy. It's grade 5 to grade 12.
Grade 5 to 12.
Grade 5 is kind of, it's a little bit more of a vetting process to make sure it's the right fit academically.
Okay.
But, right now with the 80 student athletes at the hockey academy, it's pretty evenly split by grade. The level of play on the sports side isn't quite as important when they're younger. It comes into play a little more when they get older.
Makes sense. Just like anything for that matter.
Yeah. So it's pretty evenly split. We have 9 girls last year. We'll have about 10 or 11 at the hockey academy next year. The soccer academy, it's for boys and girls.
That's what I was going to get at. So you have 80. So kind of if it's age group specific, just so it's you can kind of compete on the sports side. Are you trying to fill out teams in certain age groups, which would just make sense, and then translate that into the soccer? So what is the goal here for the school year of 26-27 with boys and girls? Are you trying to get teams in here grades 5 through 12? Because I feel like it would probably be pretty hard for you folks with the soccer schools that are here, the Catholic education. How was it easy on the hockey side to grow that fast where you can do it on the soccer side?
So one thing to know, and this is the same on the hockey as the soccer, we have no connection to any specific club, team, or organization. So on the hockey side, we run out of Centene Ice Center, which is the home of the AAA Blues club team. For soccer, we're obviously, the academy will be run out of Soccer Park, which is the home of St. Louis Scott Gallagher. But students can play for anyone and come from anywhere. So it's independent in that way. So it's not a team. There is no team.
Okay, that makes sense.
You come here 8 to 3 for your school, your individual sports training. When the day ends at 3, they go their separate way, whether it's to Lou Hughes, Scott Gallagher, Carshield.
So okay. So like in Scott and like the hockey side of it, in your freshman year guys or your grade 9 guys, you have some guys that maybe comprise of the AAA Blues, some that go to Carshield, or maybe even lesser AA, single A type atmospheres. So you envision girls and boys coming in that play for all of the local clubs.
Yes. And,
okay, that makes sense.
And, year one, 30, 40 student athletes is kind of our goal for that inaugural 26-27 year. And the sports side, it's not broken up really on age necessarily, and that's where Mitch and Ken and Johnny, and their staff will come together to figure out where they need to be for the training side that's best for their development. So you may have a grade 7 training with a grade 10, just depending on where they're at, when it comes to maturity level, skill level, a lot of things go into it. When it comes to the academic piece, they're in classrooms and have their instructors based on grade.
Appropriate grade.
So let me slide that. That's a good transition over to Mitch here. Philip just mentioned that there's roughly an hour a day of soccer specific, correct?
Yeah, just real quick before Mitch goes, I'll just say, so you have an idea. Students come here at 8 a.m. The morning bell goes off at 8:10. They have their phones away for the day. They have a morning meeting, get their academic updates, kind of anything special for the day. One group will be on the field getting their 1 hour of training on the field while the other group's in the gym with Johnny. Then they rotate. Then they have their first academic block, which is an hour. Then they change into dress code. They have lunch, and then after lunch, they have their second academic block. That's an hour. They have a break. They have their third academic blocks. That's an hour. They clean their homeroom, get their phone, done at 3. So in the morning, 1 hour on the field, 1 hour in the gym, and then after that is their 3 1-hour academic blocks.
Nice.
So, question to you, Mitch. Kind of, talk about what that hour. Because from an academic perspective, we can kind of assume, what math and English and all the other stuff will probably look like
The
over
STEM
time.
categories,
Yeah. But from a, given that it's soccer specific, what are you envisioning, or what does that soccer class look like from development focus? Is it training focus? Have you thought about that? What might that look like?
So that's actually mainly going to be Ken's role, and that is getting. He's going to control the curriculum, and when we went and toured Centene, Ken, Zach, and myself, the way Phil described it, I think was the best. It is, like I said, we're not affiliated to any team, so your hour on the soccer field is enhancing your overall skills. We're not going to be teaching how to sit in a low block or any tactics. It's truly get more touches on the ball at a high level, whether it's maybe it is finishing one day, maybe it is you're working on some defensive, like defending correctly or whatever it may be, but it is going to be more of a technical hour where, yes, there's going to be some small-sided games, stuff like that, but we're not going to be the way I envision it is it's going to be, an intense hour on the field, whether it's small-sided games or working on a skill, and becoming a better overall player.
Well, it actually makes sense to me now because, like, going into this and being completely blind to what's going on here, I like it because, like, you could get extra training that kids say they're going to do the homeschool route and then they say they're going to go train on their own. Well, do they? Who knows? But you guys are going to have a soccer school for grades 5 to 12, and then they're going to break into their different teams and go play in whatever level that they garner. I mean, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah, here my brain is kind of racing as far as, and maybe this is a question directed at you, Christy. And here's where I'm going to go with this. When you have a kid, say you have a kid in the St. Louis area, and they're getting ready to go into school at an elevated level, you have choices.
Right.
Most people have choices,
yes.
right? Are they going to go to the public school down the block? Are they going to go to the local parish school? Are they going to apply to drive to CBC or Vianney or SLU High or whatever it is, right? St. Louis is just littered with options. Where do you see this fitting? What in your own opinion?
Yeah.
And then maybe comparing and contrasting what you've already experienced over on the hockey side.
Right.
Because that's going to be the question the parents are going to have.
Sure.
They live in Kirkwood.
Why TPH?
Yeah.
I mean, like Phil said, it's not for every kid, so it's for a specific player. However, I think it's a little bit different on the soccer side. Okay, so I'm going to use my personal. So my kids go to St. Clement, so a private Catholic school, and what is happening, and now was not the case years ago, but they're like St. Clement has no 7th grade next year because like everybody leaves, they go to Villa, they go to Vis. So my kid is going to be in a class with 2 people, and it's not just at St. Clement; it's happening at all the Catholic schools. So I think, for me, I mean, I have 3 kids. My oldest is going to be on 3rd grade, and she's at the highest level of soccer right now. If you would have asked me this 2 years ago, would I have been interested? I would have honestly said no, just because I didn't know about it. But now that I'm actually in the Catholic school system, though I really like the school, I mean, there's going to be a need for it, for players that, I mean, they're not going to have a 7th and 8th grade class. So where's my daughter going to go? Like, this is the perfect option for her. And the more I've learned from Phil about the academic part, which is the part maybe as a parent that I can see you being a little skeptical about, it is, in my opinion, it's way more structured than the system that my kids are in right now in terms of checks and balances and, people actually monitoring. And I'll let Phil speak a little bit more on the academic side, but I'm telling you, it is not for but it's going to be, it's something really special, and I think that we're hitting it at the right time.
Well, I think this is addressing a larger issue, and that is just children's education in general, because we tend to track everybody through a liberal arts lens, right?
Right.
You got to go to school, and whether or not you are ever going to use math a day in your life post, in your professional life, you got to take algebra and pre-calc and all this shit. And I think schools like this, because in Europe there's 2 tracks. You either are a liberal arts kid or you're a technical kid, right? For example, in Germany, you're either going to be an engineer or you're going to go read and write, whatever.
Right.
And Philip, maybe how do you view this filling that gap?
I mean, number one is there's so many good schools and options in St. Louis, private, public, across the board, tons of great options. But like Christy said, this is for, number one, kids who have an extremely high love and passion for soccer. It's for kids who, when they're at home, it's what they want to do. They're playing in the backyard, they're practicing, they want to train. A lot of the hockey families, a lot of the kids who come, before they came, they were doing like private lessons before school, training with Johnny at night.
So much private
They're getting it in during that school day. There's things that we cannot replicate. So if you want to walk the halls with thousands of kids, it's not going to be here. If you really want to play in the band or something like that, there's certain things that it won't be the right fit. But for kids who want to be surrounded by other kids with those similar goals, passions, more of a student athlete environment, a little more competitive, with what we call mentors, even the sports staff, like at the hockey academy, and I picture it no different with Johnny, Mitch, and Ken and their staff. They're constantly helping the kids, mentoring them when it comes to like proper rest, recovery, nutrition, really throughout the entire day, not just on the field. So that
makes sense.
It's the biggest compliment that we get at the hockey academy is the kids are jumping out of bed to get there every day. And then you tie it with, there is a lot of things in place where they have to be eligible every single day to go on the field, to go in the gym. And that's academically and as a person. There's a lot of things we have in place.
Character-wise.
Yeah, we have a
academics.
plus-minus system for the choices they're making and the character. And then they have to be eligible with their academic pacing and GPA. So a lot of them are a lot more driven academically because they do not want to miss that 1 hour on the field with Ken and Mitch or in the gym with Johnny, especially if their friend next to them is getting that. So a lot of them actually have excelled academically. They have a little more drive because it's tied to them getting in the sports piece.
That makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. I'm going to ask a hard-hitting question that people are probably thinking and yelling at the radio. Academic calendar, is it kind of that August to May? Or still just like the normal school year, and maybe the TPH for soccer is not lined out. Public school's free. There's all these private schools that JB aligned out. What does this cost? You can ballpark it too.
Yeah. So your number one question, we mirror some of the bigger districts. Rockwood Parkway. We start at the end of August. We have orientation week, and then the school year runs end of August to the end of May.
Makes sense. Spring
break, winter break, parent-teacher conferences each semester, pretty typical to what you get at any school. The tuition is $18,999. At the Hockey Academy, it's $23,999. A little bit of difference with the sports training piece, with the field versus ice rink and facilities, and a lot goes into that piece. The tuition piece, like any private school, there is a tuition. When we kind of talk to families about that piece, it's really, okay, the amount of field time, one-on-one training time, gym time, paired with the more individualized academic piece. And then inside the academic piece, there is an option to get a private education through our partner called Ed Options.
Okay.
And that's one thing. If we get into the academic pieces,
well, let me ask, because I can tell you right now, listeners, parents are like 18, basically 19K.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're going to be spending 20 plus on everything all in, and they're like, okay, what's my ROI? And parents' ROI in this landscape, it's 2 things: either an athletic scholarship to go and do what they want to do, or the grades and the grades are high enough that can get them into high level institutions, potentially academic scholarships, etc. Obviously you have no track record on the soccer side; it's brand new. can you talk about the hockey players maybe that don't go on to play in the minors or become pro, the academic pathway and successes that you've had there to kind of address the tuition?
Yeah. So last year we had 75 students last year. Our class average was a 3.82 GPA. We had about 14 students who had above a 4.0 through honors and AP and those things. We had 9 seniors graduate last year. All have the option to go on to college or university. Some are going junior hockey route. It takes a little bit longer. It's a different path.
Well, there's 3-year gap year.
But yeah, and we have
soccer needs to figure that out quickly.
We've had about now.
You're welcome, college coaches.
17, 18 kids who have either committed D1 or been drafted to USHL, OHL, NAHL, and hockey's kind of a different animal. But we always tell families, like, it is, if you're coming to get a Division I scholarship, it is not the right reason. It is more about what the kids learn, trying to get as high as they can, whatever that is for them. It's a lot about, they're learning a lot about commitment, dedication, how to take care of their bodies physically, mentally, how to be resilient. Really, so when they do leave, wherever they go, they're going to be successful.
Makes sense.
So there's been a lot of kids through TPH across the country that have gone to Yale, Harvard, different places, and done very well academically. But we also, we have career day, we have trades come in. We have kids who might go to trade school. Some might want to be doctors, lawyers. Not everyone is going to go to play at that top level, obviously. So it's making sure that all of the kids are ready when they leave us, wherever that is.
Yeah, no, I think it's front line, kind of cutting edge. I mean, hockey's been doing it for a while. Soccer's had IMG, basically.
Yeah.
And then,
which started as a tennis school. I mean, this is starting at a hockey school.
Andre. Yeah. It was Andre days. I mean, some of the MLS academies are starting to, they have live-in and they're doing schools, et cetera. So, and then PCDA?
PCDA's one. I mean, Shattuck St. Mary's.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, so there's handfuls.
A lot of those are boarding, though, right?
Yeah.
This is not boarding.
Yeah. No, but I think this is this is the entry level, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of that landscape, because I think we all see it. Those, the majority of people that have kids that are in these clubs playing at the high levels, they see what's going on nationally. They
let's call a spade a spade. I mean, when everybody wants to go to a certain aisle to shop and get everything, so I kind of like it that you can streamline. I've diagnosed I have a kid between grade 5 and grade. I mean, you're not diagnosing it at grade 12. Let's be frank. They've been in the program for a while. But, hey, they want to go somewhere. They want to make this their love. And they also have to get educated because that's what it is. And you have to fall back on something. And you guys also, and this isn't going to be popular with a lot of our folks, but there's a lot of things that happen in through a 7-hour school day that, frankly, don't need to be happening.
Yes.
So I do love the streamlinedness of it. And as a parent, I can appreciate, okay, let's get the meat and potatoes done because academics are first and foremost. Mm-hmm. But then let's also spend some time on our craft and try to, because that's what they want to do. Mm-hmm. So I can appreciate it.
Yeah. Think about how many people do late night training sessions with Zach Mattioli because that's the only free time
and think how much money they're spending. I did some undercover research, and it's a lot.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that's going through my head, right? Okay, so if you have an hour of soccer training and you get the additional time on the the strength and conditioning, et cetera. Look, we all have kids that are in these sports, right? How much would it cost to get an hour of training? 2 hours of training or whatever it is.
Times 20 a month.
5 days a week.
A lot.
Take that number.
Yeah.
And you add that up and then subtract it from the 19 or 20, whatever it turns out to be. Then you're at a real number because we're all spending that money anyway.
Correct.
On the additional training.
That's why the number isn't as high as you really think when you hear $18.99 and then you do the math and you have multiple kids and you're like, oh.
Another thing that, and this is just me being devil's advocate, and I'm going to say this because I'm hoping people are listening and saying the same thing. At least I would be if I was listening. The social piece. When you have 80 in the school, I think that probably fixes it. But starting off new and trying to garner attention and get enrollment for the soccer side of it, I think that homeschooling a kid And it's not for everybody, and I'm not going to say this is a bad thing, but I think that the social piece of dealing with people and teachers and people you don't like and all of the other things that go on there, what do you say about that piece of TPH? Like, how do you address that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see this as homeschooling per se, because you are coming to a school, right? You're coming to an academy, so you're not going to be at your home. You're not going to be just with your mom. I guess, okay, so my youngest plays hockey, and so I was around the TPH Hockey Academy a lot. He would be training, doing it. So my 4-year-old doing private training at Centene, like by himself. So yes, I'm talking about training. And so I personally, as a mom, got to see what Phil's Academy was all about, because I was a little skeptical too about the social part. And I mean, I'm not kidding. It looked like every day was so much fun. The kids were, you know, they were doing their, whether it be their academic. I was like so impressed. And honestly, I kind of went undercover here. That's what sold me on it. Because, you know, with approaching Matt Stitching, my husband, who's the business director, like at first they were a little skeptical. Actually, they were skeptical. And I did my homework, and I was like, wow, this is a perfect fit. And I was just blown away, because the social part is what really had to sell me on it. And I'm telling you, these kids, you see them and they're all very similar, but they were having like the absolute best time.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to.
The social part, I would say it's more of a family feeling. Mm-hmm. Even with 80, it is. We have a big brother, big sister program. We do off-site community service, college admissions tour for the high school students, but it is more of a family feeling, I would say. But they are navigating a lot of things still. But what we found on the hockey side is a lot of them are not necessarily the kids who come to our academy. They're on the weekends. It's more they're with their sports team. They're not really the kids who are going, you know, to the different things on the weekends.
Proms,
their social piece comes more through traveling with their sports teams and
yeah, I mean
that's no different than our kiddos.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole generational shift.
Right.
You know, these kids that are competing, quote, 1%ers definitely do not get a traditional high school life.
I will say,
but I would say that number is going down to the 5%ers. You know, it just keeps expanding, because the kids are just doing sport is so. It's increasing in value for more and more kids by the day.
And academically, kids have the option to stay enrolled in their public school through MOCAP. It's called the Missouri Course Access Program. So a lot of our kids are enrolled in their public school, Marquette, Ladue, Lafayette, whatever it is. They can go to prom, homecoming.
How are they achieving those 2 hours of the day with the soccer piece and
so they don't go there in person.
Okay.
So
okay.
we use a state approved platform, academic platform called Admentum. The kids are not actually enrolled in TPH. They're either enrolled in their public school or a private partner. So they all use a platform. It's NCAA approved, accredited, called Admentum.
Yep.
If they choose to be enrolled in their public school, for example, our head of academics and our academic staff, they figure out, okay, if your son was going to, Ladue High School, these are the 4 core classes and 3 electives he would be taking. We pair it with the equivalent Admentum class, almost like transfer credits, but they're still enrolled in the school. So they can still play for the high school soccer team. They can go to prom. They can do all those things, but they're coming to TPH all day, every day.
So hard-hitting question before we take a break here and roll the second half. Food. Will you have the old school rectangular pizzas that are
no?
Like,
dude, the food is delicious.
Like
pretzel bites from the grill.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Have you ever eaten the food at the grill? I know you guys have. It's good.
Typically don't get past the beer cooler.
Okay.
So I'll take your word for it.
I really
Slushies,
the pretzel bites. I still got to experience the pretzel bites the other day.
Well, a serious. This is hard hitting. Out of the 18,999.19, is the food included?
Families have the option. You can bring your own lunch, snacks, and drink from home, or there'll be a meal option through the facility, but that'll be a cost to the facility.
I know Chuck Nash is jumping all over that. You're going to have F-bag wings over here for. Hey, guys, thank you very much for coming on here and explaining it. We're going to take a quick break. In the second half, we're going to dive into more of the soccer component for the majority of our listeners here. Philip, Christy, thank you very much.
Thank
Mitch, you got training, right? Are you going to stick
About
around?
an hour. I might stick around for.
All right, you
for
stick around too. We're going to bring on Johnny, talk about the strength and conditioning, and Mr. KG, better known as Bill's dad.
Bill's dad.
He's going to be joining us for the second half.
Here?
And thanks for listening. We'll be right back after this short break. See you on the flip side. All right, we're back. Soccer Dad Pod. Quick break. You'll notice that it's silent, and that's on purpose. No roll-in music, because I'm going to roll this in for our second half guest. I believe he was episode 4, 5. It was early, or way early, way back in the day, down at Amsterdam Tavern, right? You came down there
a couple years ago.
Mr. KG Goaty.
Trainer
Hoosier
extraordinaire.
galore. Bill's dad.
Over 200 episodes ago.
Over 200. I like that, man. That sounds good. Here's what we're going to do.
Bill's my dog, in case anybody doesn't follow me
everybody
on
knows
Facebook.
Here's what we're going to do. In honor of your rock and roll brain, we're going to do Name That Tune.
Oh, boy.
We're going to go 5 songs. I'm going to just hit play. And as soon as you guess it, I'm going to go to the next one. Jared, time it. Let's see if he can do 5 songs in less than 30 seconds.
I want to play.
Mitch, 5 songs in less than 30 seconds. Let's see if he gets it.
Can I play?
Yeah, you can try. You ready, kid? Here we go.
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Start me up, Stones.
Well played.
Damn, I can't play. AC/DC.
AC/DC, Back in Black.
Well done.
Journey.
Journey's Small Town.
Don't Stop Believing.
Bingo.
Oh, Mitch.
Here we go.
I like it. Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, Paradise City.
Paradise City. Thank you.
Last one.
Oh, boy. Bryan Adams. Summer of 69.
Bonus.
Leonard Skinner.
Yeah.
Man.
Look at that.
31 seconds. With the bonus.
With the bonus.
With the bonus.
You want one more bonus? I'll throw one at you.
I think I'm going to end it right there, but
Foreigner.
it's Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, we're out of here. All right,
Hey,
well done.
Hey, the girl wrote this in 10 minutes.
Did she really?
Yep.
Did
saw that. I heard that stat the other day
Really?
in some studio in California.
I love stories like
10 minutes wrote that song. That's their only #1 hit.
Damn, look at you pulling out the music.
How about that?
trivia. I like it. Did you know that Steven Tyler was 17 when he wrote Dream On and recorded it at 18? Did you know that?
I didn't.
Now you do.
We could start School of Rock.
Dude, I'm in. If you guys have a rock and roll class, like me and rock and roll Goaty, we'll throw that thing together. Guitar, little acoustic fireside. There we go. We're in. Hey, Soccer
Jack
Dad
Black.
Pod, we're back. We're talking all things new. TPH, the St. Louis Soccer Academy, joining us for the second half here. We've got more of the teachers that are going to make the kids sweat. Kind of the
Yes,
core,
sir.
a little bit of the draw, so to speak. Joining us, we have. I want to get the last name right here. Johnny Johnson.
Yep.
Mr. Strength Conditioning, PT.
Yes.
All things.
Yes.
Muscle bone.
Can you
Yeah.
ice skate?
I cannot ice skate. And I honestly, I've never ice skated. I was supposed to. I'll tell you what. Was that funny story? Really quick. It's got to be 6th grade. So one of my buddies is having he's having a birthday party, and he's supposed to ice skate. And you know, it was back in the day, we would have those. You'd have like the little discipline board, and you get, you talk out of turn, you get a mark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You slap your buddy's hat off his head, you might get another mark, and you get 3 marks, and they call your parents. Well, I messed around on that Friday, I got 3 marks, and I was like, well, there's no way my mom's gonna not let me go to this party, and she didn't let me go.
So you didn't get to go. So real quick,
Little did we know that was the only chance. I'm 37. I haven't ice skated.
okay, so you're a strength
You're
and
not missing
conditioning
much.
person for the hockey school, and I guess all of that is done with running shoes on flat ground.
Yes.
Okay,
So
good
with
enough. Go ahead, JB.
With the speed. Well, I always tell people, speed is speed. I have ice hockey. I have field hockey, track and field, football, basketball. You name it.
Everything's form.
Yes, it's just speed is it's it's this dance of being able to create stiffness at times and being able to be super coordinated and having having stiffness and fluidity at the same time. It's all, being able to extend your hips and your knees and keeping your ankles stiff through ground contact. I mean, the ice hockey athlete is going to benefit just as much as the forward on the soccer field, just as much as the running back is. So, and that's why I work with so many different athletes and these different sports and positions and things like that.
So let's kind of paint a picture here, because we've got the three of you that are basically kind of the core of the athletic side of the school. Mitch, we were talking earlier. Johnny, you were just describing kind of like, super high level, things that you're going to be focusing on.
Yep.
Ken, I want to start with you. Technical title is head of soccer. When you heard about the school, when you think about the facility, when you know the landscape better than anybody, when it comes to youth soccer, academy soccer in the States, right? The direction that things are going. Give me just your 2 cents on, the direction of the school, the focus of the school, and kind of your role within, focusing on the soccer side of things.
Mm-hmm. I'm super excited about it. Just the envisioning having twice as much time with a player on the field mastering the ball than what I currently do, because right now we don't have enough time. It's the end of session and I'm always dying for another 15 minutes. And at the end of the week, we didn't get to, some aspects of technical superiority that we wanted to get to. And so with the school, it's just increased time on the ball, mastering the ball, a lot of the same things we do here, but we can get into more detail and spend more time on it. There's so many aspects to mastering the ball, and also becoming 1v1 specialists, striking the ball, bending the ball, free kicks, set pieces, all those little details that you don't have time in a typical team setting. So that's why I'm excited about it, because I see what we can do with players when we only have them, 2 training sessions a week in soccer school now. And I'm just super excited to envision of what we can do with them when we have twice the amount of time.
So real quick follow-up, actually, because I'm trying to envision what the class is going to look like, right? Mm-hmm. From 5th grade all the way up to the potential of 12th graders, and kind of knowing the structure of the club, the levels. You have academy, you've got 2, you've got, premier, just kind of alphabet all the way down, right? Mm-hmm. And the school is going to be, to a degree, open to all, right? Any club, to a degree, any level. Is that correct? I mean, is there... I'm kind of looking around the room, see if anybody wants to take that. Is there tryouts?
I think there's going to be a criteria that on the academic side of things and the soccer side of things. Okay. So there is going to be a process on how, players might get the opportunity to be a part of the school.
Okay, so is it safe to say that if you've never played, this is not a fit?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So when you think about maybe the delta, that's where I'm going with this, of the quality of the players, because you could have a group of 10 students that are all, let's just say, 10th grade, but you could have quite a wide delta of level of play, etc. How do you envision kind of like, because it's a class, right? Everybody's looking to get better. How do you measure that from a soccer perspective, or are you envisioning measuring that?
Yeah, technically. So we'll use their technical talent level to create groups. The old saying, iron forges iron. So we want like abilities together. So we'll have a top group, a middle group, depending on the numbers, and maybe a third group. And we will be doing unopposed training as well as opposed training. So, there's a balance there on getting the curriculum right. because you don't want, a little kid going against a big kid, to make it simple. But from a technical standpoint on unopposed training, their speed of play is going to be, similar. So that's where they'll get the advancement on developing technically.
Yeah, and for me, I think the most exciting piece of this venture, this soon-to-be organization, is knowing the soccer landscape, the late elementary, early middle school ages, when like the Smets just opening their middle school, and you got all these schools that are getting younger, and then like Christy said earlier that like the schools are dumping out at 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. This is a feather in your hat, like getting a kid that is 5th, 6th, 7th grade that has you 2 days a week, 8 times a month, that will be able to have you for 20 days a month. Their level with the ball is going to be out of this world compared to the kids that aren't, and that's what's a real treat, because like I would really, if I really understood what this was going on, and I had a 5th grader or a 6th grader and he was the right kid, because I think we've all diagnosed that it has to be the right kid, it would really be awesome, man.
Yeah, the right kid is important. Mentality is at the core. They got to have the mentality to be able to go through the grind. But, they're definitely going to be masters of the ball. There's no doubt about it. Our curriculum, we're going to tweak it a little bit for the school. But, at its core, it's going to be, these kids are going to learn everything about the ball.
Let me shift the question over to our strength and conditioning man over here. One of my favorite questions on the show for any guest, typically coaches, I like to ask them this, is the it factor. Given your background, football primary, but really hyper-focusing on physical performance, training, etc., I'm going to ask you the same question. When you work with kids that, are trying to be faster or get faster or jump higher or whatever, can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the things that you see that is an it thing in a kid from an athletic perspective?
Definitely. So the it thing, and I've gone back 10, 15 years 1,000 times
Stay a little closer if you don't mind.
I've gone back and forth 1,000 times in my mind, just some of the the super high level athletes that I've worked with, like Kyron Williams. I got to work with him in 8th grade, like that. And I met Alex Pfeiffer. She was really young, maybe like 5th or 6th grade. And you go back and you're like, what? So what was what happened with that one that didn't happen with the next kid? And it's I would say some of it is always I gotta put some of the onus on the parents. I mean, when you have kids that young and that talented, I mean, I always say, I tell people all the time, you need you have this D1 athlete, 9 times out of 10 you have these D1 parents behind them, that you almost have to save a kid from themselves, because they don't know any better at the age of 5th grade. Like a high level 5th grader may not, these kids can't see, a foot in front of their face all the time. So the parents is one thing, and then you take it a step further than that. Just the training as itself, training is a skill. Like, to be able to, you have this bout of max effort. Let's just say we're talking linear speed. To be able to, okay, I'm going to run as hard as I can. Okay, and then I unless I'm training a track and field athlete, just the metabolic demands of your sport, I can't let you fully recover for 5 minutes like you're doing a track and field workout, because the demands of the sport won't let you. You can't do that on a soccer field. Right. You can't do it on a football field. So a kid has to learn how to exert that max effort over and over. And it's something that you can learn. It's something that you can improve. I tell kids all the time, I mean, I can give you take 10 kids in a group, and we're all going to do the same program for a month, word for word, rep for rep, and you'll get 10 different results. And it's because as a trainer, you have kids, you want to get them faster, you want to get them bigger. The biggest thing they can take from me is the ability to train at a high level. Because let's say it's like somebody comes to my gym and they may see me once a week, twice a week. I want to get you faster. I want to get you quicker. If I can get you to figure out, like, hey, when it's time to go, I'm going to go. Like, you're going to get more out of that session the next day. You're not with me, but you're at soccer practice. So now you're squeezing more out of that session, and in the next practice, and in the next practice. So you end up, you're teaching yourself how to get the absolute most out of yourself. And so I think that's what, and when you're talking about that it factor, that's what you're really going to be trying to develop. And I'm excited that I'll get the opportunity. I mean, I'll be able to see these kids 4 or 5 times a week, which it'd be awesome. It's just the industry that I'm in. I don't always get to see the kids as consistently as I would like. The kids, the soccer practice schedule is crazy. The football schedule is crazy. I'm kind of at the mercy of what, when the athlete can get to me.
I think it's funny. One thing that you said there was learning how to do some things at a small age or a young age. And I'll never forget this. I went to college, and I thought I was pretty good at soccer and okay at academics. And we get there, and one of the things in the preseason is the coach brought in an Olympic sprinter to teach us how to run. And the discipline of running, and we're at a pretty high level, and he's talking like hip to ear and not breathing right. And I'm telling you, after about two hours, 2 sessions with this Olympic running coach, I think the whole team got faster. I know the whole team got faster.
I can hear you day one.
And I'm like,
he walked in, you're like, okay, right foot, then left foot. I'm fast.
Like, do we really have to learn how to run? And I look back on it now, and it's just credence to what you were saying.
Yeah, but there's definitely, and there's so many different, being able to create positive shin angles when you're changing directions, being able to change levels, drop your snap your hips and shoulders down abruptly, being able to just, like I touched on it earlier. It's a huge thing that I work on. Is, kids. I can't tell you how many parents call me and they're like, "Man, my kid runs flat-footed," and I'm like, "Yeah, I see it 1,000 times," and it's usually a mix of strength issues, coordination, and like muscle recruitment and motor recruitment issues, like a mix of that.
Heredity.
I was gonna say, why didn't you just say, well, your husband's a bowler? But that's why he's flat-footed.
But honestly, sometimes, man, sometimes just the kid is like, you get them you do some ankle isometrics, and then you let them run, and then they feel it one time, and they're like, oh. And then they can do it. It's like, well, you've been able to do that the whole time. You're strong enough to do it. So there's definitely, you can for sure learn how to move. You can improve your ability to move and change directions and all of that. So that's what's going to be. I kind of get to look at these athletes through like a different lens. Like I have these like super high level soccer players, and I find myself I judge them, I grade them on their ability to move, and then we'd have this like super high level soccer player, and I'm like, yeah, we got to work on. And I just watch, because I don't always get to see them play soccer, but I watch them move all the time, and that's kind of how I
hips and shifts.
I just look at them. I just look at it a little different. Yeah.
Soccer boys here at the table, because I'm hearing all this and I'm thinking about, okay, putting myself in a position where I potentially have a kid here, right? What am I expecting, or what am I thinking I'm getting out of it? Because the kid's already at the club, XYZ club, whether it's Gallagher or Hughes or whoever, right? And they're getting their coach, and they're getting their culture and the curriculum and their own soccer schools on the weekend. When it comes to this 5 days a week of an extra hour, you guys know the numbers. You know the kids that come and do the extras, whether it's soccer school or PDT or whatever it is. You see the trajectory. 9 times out of 10, there's a correlation between the two. Is that a focus? Is your focus going to be, to slingshot these kids even faster? Because they're already moving in the right direction. Because all of our clubs in this area are good at what they do. How do you see? Is this just like steroids of training for these kids?
Yeah, it's just incremental reps. Just getting more time on the ball is the ultimate goal here. And we have to ignite them. We have to inspire them so they don't burn out. So they love it. We want the kids to go through years at the school, not just 1 year. Yeah. So it has to be fun, and it's got to be we're teaching creativity. All that.
I'm going to totally interrupt because I have a question that just literally ripped into my head. We talk about this all the time, the debate between too much development and not enough play. Because at the national team level here, and frankly at the academy level, we see it all the time where you have a rated team and you watch them play. And sure, they got kids that can do, a million different touches, but the team as a whole is not good at winning. Mm-hmm. Where does competition, where does learning to win come into potentially the curriculum?
All over the place. I mean, in my opinion, if you put players out there and there's no goal for the session or there's no motivation for the session, they're just doing the activities, then you're going to get a C performance. As soon as you add any type of game, competition, it skyrockets.
And you do a good job with that at the young ages. And my offshoot of that question would be, and we, kind of off the cuff, we talked on the hockey side about all of the success. The other devil's advocate side of it is when you start at 5th grade and you go to 12th grade, and the elephant in the room is, when is too much activity for these kids? Like if they're going 5 days a week, 1 hour on the field, 1 hour in the gym, and then they're going to their academy team that's practicing 5 days a week.
Accelerated numbers of ACLs and MCLs and back strains.
And that's just me being kind of a little bitch about it, but like how there is a certain conversation of what is too much, and maybe we should give this gentleman the headphones back. But has there been any narrative on the hockey side of that?
Well, I'll speak to it a little bit. Periodization of their schedule is what you're referring to here, and we're going to be, Mitch. One of his roles is mentor in the school, and we're gonna know when they have a game. We're going to know when they have extensive activities in the evenings through our communication with the players. And so it'll be a specialized training plan based on what the kids have going. If there's a major, competition, MLS next playoffs are coming up they're leaving on Thursday.
We're not doing fitness.
Yeah.
And
there is no soccer on Fridays. So heading into game weekend, there's no on the field per se soccer training on Fridays at the school. So they're well rested.
That makes sense.
The weekend.
Yeah. I mean, you answered the question, I think, pretty well.
So let me ask you, Johnny, the integration into more soccer. I want to get your maybe 10,000-foot view take, because it is a unique sport from the standpoint, it's so fluid. You got 45-minute halves. At the higher levels, if a kid plays 90 minutes, they're going to be running, if they're doing their job, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe even 9 miles a game. Excel, D-cells, all this other stuff. Whereas a lot of maybe what I will call traditional American sports are very linear. Mm-hmm. They're shorter time spans, stop, stand, do whatever you want to do. Yep. What's that challenge look like for you? Because it's a different kind of body. We have kids at the academy level down in the city. One of the kids was told, you're too big. You need to lose some weight because you can't move as well, right? So, what's your excitement level, or what's your viewpoint on kind of addressing the physical nature of soccer compared to?
Yeah, well, it's definitely so. Everything that I'm going to do, whether it is in the gym or on the field, it's all going to be, predicated on getting the athlete to move better, to move more efficiently. And even something as simple as a barbell back squat, we will do that. That movement will be done with intent. If we won't just put the bar on a kid's back and
then they fall over.
Yeah, no, it's going to be okay. So we're going to do this with the rate of force production in mind. Like, so can you load your hips as fast as possible? Is your triple extension as fast and as forceful as possible? Our linear, you'll do your linear speed training, but there'll be a ton of attention, paid to your agility and change of directions, and just being able to be super reactive. Like, just something as simple as a side shuffle. Like, okay, I'm gonna put these two cones here, and this athlete, you're gonna shuffle from one cone to the other. You can shuffle from one cone to the other, just however, or you can do it with intent, and you coach the kids. You're like, okay, so when I'm moving lateral in a game situation, team sports, it's not practical for you to take these big long strides, because like if you envision an athlete floating in the air, neither one of his feet are touching the ground. How does that athlete change directions? He can't, because he's not connected with the floor. So just a simple coaching point, like as simple as, hey, when we're moving, you want your steps to recover low. You want your feet to be low to the floor. We call it like being connected with the floor. Like, things like that is what I'm excited to share with the kids. Like, it's not you want to train that absolute speed, but you also want to you want the athlete to be able to recover, and then it recover fast for that next sprint bout. And you want the athlete to be able to decelerate, and just being able to move your feet really quick and efficiently in a phone booth, which I think is what's really important. If you watch like a basketball game or a soccer game, it's a ton of like 3, 4, 5, 6 yard races, 50-50 ball here, and we got to get it to it from there. It's not these every once in a while. Yeah, your winger gets to get out and go on this long run, but over and over you have to win these 5, 6, 7 yard races, and that's what. And some of that is strength. I mean, some of that is coordination and all different things like that. And so that's kind of what we're going to be focusing on.
I love it.
Yeah, at the that's what I'm going to be focusing on with the academy. We won't be doing a ton of stuff with the soccer ball with me, but we'll be.
Well, I mean, that's what I would be paying for. Yeah. If I don't get to see that, I'm out. I'm gonna leave that to this one right here for sure. Gentlemen, this was awesome. I really appreciate it, because I'm not gonna say cutting edge, because the hockey already did that, right? See what I did there? A little edge here. That was awful, Jake.
Well played.
No, it's awesome, because, hey, look, we all know, and our listeners know, and even those of you that are in Dallas, that Dallas is our number 2 city right now?
Hey, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, to jump into this. Ken, you would be the perfect one to ask this. And these guys, this hockey gentleman, 3-year programs, where does gap year come into this for you guys? Because I think that is something that is up and coming in the men's game, and this, being connected with IU and what's happening transfer portal wise and everything else. I think gap year, there's these services coming out that are gap year orientated, and I feel like this program would definitely go hand in hand with it.
Oh, it's perfect for a gap year. It's thank you for the softball there.
That was T-ball. Set that thing there and get out of the
most
way.
of the time with the gap year in soccer, the players don't have enough training, so this just adds that incremental training to their gap year, just incremental reps, and it provides them a platform and a program very difficult to have a gap year team at a high level because most of the time the players are coming from multiple teams.
Well, I think it's funny, like we've talked to guys that have scouting services and whatnot, and they'll have players on gap year, and these players have elected to take a gap year because maybe a college coach said this is what you should do, and then they call them at 1 o'clock and they're just waking up out of bed. So, like, I know there's a select few kids that, but when they're 18 years old, that can maybe not have the rigors of school when they're taking a gap year, quote unquote, to get better and bigger and stronger to go into the college game. This program with a little bit of uniformity, like where it's 5 days a week and there's a structure, I think it's worth its.
It gives them their training during the day.
Yes.
Typically they have to wait till 5 o'clock, 6:30, whenever that gap.
Unless they're doing it on their own.
Yeah, unless they do it on their own.
How
We
intense is
see
that?
those gap year kids out here at the soccer park during the day.
Yeah.
All the time training on their own.
Yeah.
So they'll be doing.
Well, how much do you charge them?
program. When they're on their own, we don't charge them at all.
I get
They're
it.
just jumping the fence.
All right. TPH St. Louis Soccer the. It doesn't say the. You guys need to put the on the Instagram page. It says TPH St. Louis Soccer Academy, which is fine. But if it's going to be the St. Louis Soccer Academy, I like that better. All caps too. THA. That's just a minor suggestion. Gentlemen, thank you for joining. Really look forward to seeing how this thing plays out. We will definitely have you guys back closer to kickoff. Just kind of hear how things are going because we've got a lot of people, I guarantee, that are interested in like what this thing is going to look like.
Have them check out our open houses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so those are going to be coming up. They will have open houses. I will be sure to put the link to those in the show notes. Best place to check it out, is it the Instagram page for now? I know you guys have a website, but most
We have
people...
the website.
Okay. Yep. Well, the website link is on there as well. So you guys go check that out. Really appreciate your time. Soccer Dad Pod, like, review, follow, share. All that stuff's free. We really appreciate it. We're going to roll out of here the way we rolled in. We're going to have a little bit of fun. Johnny, everybody gets to guess here. We're going to do 5 songs. So those of you that are listening, if you want to play along, we're going to be playing Name That Tune. We're going to do 5 more songs, and then we're out of here. And kicking it off here. Ready? You guys ready? Everybody ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Race, go.
Paint it black.
Oh, there we go.
Wow, Mitchell.
This is a tougher one. I love this song.
86752.
Boom, there we go. Next. Oh,
Have you seen The Rain?
Bingo. This one, this is going to fall through the cracks here.
Oh, boy.
There's a whole bunch of people in their car like,
This is not my mode. Mitch, this is you.
I hate myself for loving
Joan
you.
Jett?
Laura Byrne. Close. Last one, and then we're out of here.
Look at me.
Van Halen. Jump.
Jump it off.
Come on,
Soccer
Johnny.
Dad
Johnny,
Bod,
that's
Johnny.
you there. But
Yeah, that was me.
He's like,
I got that one.
You got the Van Halen, right? We need more Keishi in our lives. Soccer Dad Pod, we're out of here. TPH of St. Louis. Go check it out. Jared, well done today. Gentlemen, catch you next time.
thanks for having us.
Christy,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Yep.
And nothing gets me down.